ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So very unique example is set by Sati. Why it is very unique, and Prabhupada calls it very extreme, which should be followed by the devotees. Because a very important principle is set here, that don't have any kind of association with a person who is materialistic. That is the example. Better to give up that kind of association. In Sati's case, the association was in the form of the body she has received from Daksha. And that body, because Daksha was very offensive, disrespectful to Lord Shiva, therefore Sati did not want to have anything to do with that body. Here, why it is called extreme example is that actually, in one sense, her body was not ordinary. It was contaminated because it had taken birth from the body of Daksha, but it had become transcendental because of association of Lord Shiva. So that body was no more material in that sense. But still Sati is setting up the example for us to be followed, to understand this very important principle that materialistic association in whatever different type should be given up. That is the example set up here. Just like Prabhupada gives an example that actually even the great personalities, even though they cannot be compared with conditioned soul, but sometimes to set certain examples, they also follow principles of regulative principles. Say for example, Haridas Thakur, he was Nama Acharya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu designated him as the Acharya, authority for the holy name. So he is on a very elevated platform in spiritual life. It is not an ordinary thing to be Namacharya. But Srila Haridas Thakur, like a sadhaka, would chant his 3 lakh names, holy names of the Lord, as he had taken the vow. In order to set an example for all of us, that we should rigidly follow the principles of sadhana bhakti. Don't take it lightly. Even such a great personality like Haridas Thakur, he is completing his round. No sleeping, no eating. Complete your round. He is setting an example. You can imagine Haridas Thakur, such an elevated soul. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling you don't require. You have become old also. And you are in that position that you don't require to complete, that I have to chant 3 lakh names. But he would not. He would still continue. That is why he is called Namacharya. Similarly, we find Raghunath Das Goswami, such an elevated personality. He is one of the Goswamis. But he had also taken a vow that certain number of dandavats I will do at Radhakund. And he would do that. It's like Prabhupada says, in 2-3 days, hardly he would take little buttermilk just to maintain the body and the soul together. That was not his main intention. His main intention was to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness. He also set an example. So, that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yat yat acharati shreshtaha tat tat evetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastat anuvartate. Whatever examples are set by great personalities is followed by common people. So even though these great personalities are above any influence of material nature, but sometimes to set example, they may follow certain things like a conditioned soul. But of course, we cannot imitate them, neither we can bring them down on our level. It is a great offense. Just like we cannot imitate Haridas Thakur in his dealing with the prostitute. We can take an example set by him how to complete your rounds without fail. But we cannot imitate his activities. So Haridas Thakur, he is such an elevated soul. He thought that this living entity has come. Let me benefit this living entity. Haridas Thakur says that to that prostitute, that if I wanted, I could understand your intentions. I could have left that very same day. But I thought that this living entity has come. Let this living entity also benefit from the holy name of the Lord. And we can see the difference. Haridas Thakur chanted That prostitute heard this chanting from the lips of pure devotee of the Lord, and later she became a celebrated devotee. If we try to imitate, probably, I think we will leave devotional service and go away like Ajamila, isn't it? We will become victimized. So we cannot imitate such great personalities. Similarly, we find example. Prabhupada gives this example of Narad Muni, celebrated brahmachari. So Narad Muni, by his mercy, rescued Prahlad's mother, Kayadu, from the hands of Indra. Indra, finding very favorable opportunity, because Hiranyakashipu had gone out for executing severe penances, he, along with all other devatas, made a plan to attack the asuras. So the devatas, along with Indra, attacked the asuras and plundered everything. Prahlad Maharaj says, my house was plundered, and Indra, he took Prahlad Maharaj's mother Kayadu and dragged her. He wanted to take her to be imprisoned. So when Narada saw this, he became very merciful. He came there and he told Indra, what are you doing? She is wife of someone else. You have to be respectful. You cannot drag her like this. What do you want to do? So Indra was also very respectful. He immediately offered his obeisances. And he said, my dear Narada, she does not have to fear anything from me. I have no such ill intention. But I will imprison her till she gives birth to the child. She is having a seed of that asura in her womb, and after that I will release her. So Narada was able to understand the intentions of Indra, that he wanted to kill that child. So he said, my dear Indra, first of all you should understand that the child which will be born from the womb of this mother is a great devotee of the Lord, celebrated devotee of the Lord. You or your other associates, none of you will be able to kill him, even if you want. Because he is being protected by the Supreme Lord personally. So better you release her. There is no use of your plan. Of course, understanding that a great devotee is in the womb of Kayadu, Indra immediately released her, paid his obeisances, circumambulated, and they left. So then Prahlad Maharaj explains, Narad Muni brought her, my mother, to his ashram, where she was completely free from all kinds of fear from any direction. Prabhupada very interestingly puts a very, very beautiful sentence. Kayadu, in the shelter of Narad Muni, stayed without any fear from any direction of her life and her child's life. Similarly, Narad Muni, such a great personality, stayed in the same ashram without any fear of deviation. Even though the Vedic literature say, Matra, Shwastra, Duhitrava, one should not sit even with his own mother, even with his own sister, even with his own daughter in secluded place. Why? Balwan Indriya Gramam Vidwan Api Karshati. The senses are very strong and it can carry away the mind of even a wise man, even one may be Vidwan. But Narad Muni is not on that level. Narad Muni is completely transcendental. Narad Muni does not see a distinction between the different bodies. Body of a man, body of a woman. So Narad Muni cannot be brought to our level. This is very important. So we cannot imitate such great personalities. We can only follow the examples they have set for us. Just like Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna for us, that we can follow in our life. We cannot imitate the activities of Lord Krishna. Isn't it? And this was warned by Parikshit Maharaj, to Parikshit Maharaj, by Shukdev Goswami. When Parikshit Maharaj asked this question, that Krishna had come actually to set religious principles, why did he perform these immoral acts? At least socially, in eyes of people, these are immoral. To dance with somebody's wife in the dead of night, it is immoral. Why did Krishna do this? So Shukdev Goswami is saying, even to think in the mind about these activities of the Lord which are completely transcendental, even to think about them in the mind is offensive. That is why whole Bhagavatam, there are first 9 cantos. Before you try to understand the personal activities of Krishna, first you understand the position of Krishna. The first 9 cantos prepares you to understand the position of the Supreme Lord. Then you understand His confidential activities. That is why we find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never discussed these confidential activities with common man. He only discussed them with his very confidential devotees like Ramananda Raya. Such kind of exalted devotees he discussed. Otherwise he would not. So, this is important to understand that there are certain examples they set for us. Those examples we should follow, not follow their activities. Because they are not bound by any mundane rules and regulations. An Acharya is not bound by mundane rules and regulations. You see? And that is why Krishna says, Acharya Mam Vijaniya. Acharya should be considered as myself practically. And one should not be envious of a great personality like that. So, this is what we can see. The example which is set herein by Sati is to be followed. That even a slight association with a materialistic person should be given up. That is the example she set. That even though, actually speaking, she is transcendental, her body is not ordinary. as it is explained here. Even sometimes jokingly, Lord Shiva may have addressed her as Dakshayani, daughter of Daksha. But we find Prabhupada is explaining here in the purport. In this verse it is explained how much respect Lord Shiva had for Sati. He is such a great personality, he makes her to sit on his lap and he is speaking Bhagavatam. That is how we find, isn't it? Chitraketu could not understand this transcendental position of the Lord when he saw Mother Parvati sitting, isn't it? So, we have to understand the example which is being set here. That even though Lord Shiva adored Sati by making her to sit on his lap, and Lord Shiva is a great personality. If somebody has to sit on lap of Lord Shiva, can it be an ordinary person? Prabhupada gives an example. Prabhupada says, fire mixes with fire. Fire does not mix with some cement or something like that. It does not. Quality is different. Quality has to be same. Lord Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, not to any one of us, directly like that, because we are not on that level. We have to be on spiritual level to talk with Krishna. So to sit on lap of Lord Shiva is not ordinary. She is not an ordinary woman. She is transcendental. But still, the example she is setting is very severe, extreme. And this is what Prabhupada is pointing out. Very important thing. See, I'll just read this. Prabhupada is saying, Lord Shiva is described herein as the best of all great souls. Although Sati body was born of Daksha, Lord Shiva used to adore her by sitting her on his lap. This is considered a great token of respect. The Sati body was not ordinary, but still she decided to give it up, because it was the source of unhappiness because of connection with Daksha. This severe example set by Sati is to be followed. What is the lesson we have to take? We should not imitate Sati that, okay, I will also give up this body. That is not the lesson we have to take. The severe example is that she is ready to give up material association at any cost. This is the example. Just like Prabhupada is saying here, this severe example set by Sati is to be followed. What is that? One should be extremely careful about associating with persons who are not respectful to the higher authority. Daksha was very averse, not at all respectful to such a higher authority like Lord Shiva. So how can one have any connection with such a person? That is the idea. One should give up that kind of association immediately. So next Prabhupada is saying, one should be extremely careful about associating with persons who are not respectful to the higher authorities. It is therefore instructed in the Vedic literature, one should always be free from association of atheists and non-devotees, and should try to associate with devotees. Just like Rupa Goswami says, that one should give up one of the very important principles of devotional service is asat sanga tyaga. One should be ready to give up any kind of materialistic association. Because Vedic literatures have described there are two ways. There are two ways. One is the way to liberation, another way is way to bondage. So, way to bondage is associating with a person who is materialistic. Materialistic is of two types. One who is after woman and one who is after money. That is the meaning of materialistic man, who wants to just gratify his senses. So association of such a person should be given up. Otherwise, it is a way to hell. It is a way to degradation. Human life is meant for upliftment, not for degradation. So for that, one should associate with pure devotees of the Lord. The association of pure devotees is so much stressed. Love matra sadhu sanga sarva siddhi hoy. Even little association with great devotees, it can actually uplift our whole life. We can perfect our life. See? So, this human life is considered very important. And just like Sati gave up this body, she is not so much concerned with this body for a higher purpose. We should also understand that this body, better it should be sacrificed for our spiritual master's mission. Just like Sati sacrificed her body for a higher purpose, so that in the next life, this body which was contaminated, and with that contamination, I should not be with Lord Shiva. Better I lose this connection with this, anything to do with this offensive person who has given this body. I'll give up this body. You take your body back. I don't want this. And I want to come to a situation which is more favorable, wherein with uncontaminated body, I will associate with Lord Shiva. And we find Prabhupada is giving the example. It is not that she lost her connection. She gave up that body and she took new body as the daughter of Himalayas, as Mother Parvati. And once again, she got married to Lord Shiva and she became his wife. Because their connection is eternal. It cannot be lost. You see. So she gave up that body. That was the idea. So similarly, we should be ready to sacrifice our body for higher purpose. With an understanding that once I have become initiated, this body now belongs to my spiritual master. It is no more mine. So in that sense, we should take care of this body and we should sacrifice this body for the mission of our spiritual master. I'll read one very interesting pastime where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to show that actually the body which is dedicated for Krishna consciousness no more belongs to us. It belongs to the Supreme Lord or it belongs to the spiritual master, because we have given that body for him, isn't it? So it should be sacrificed only for that purpose. That is the idea. So I read this. This is from Ante Leela. When Sanatan Goswami was diseased and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would embrace him, Sanatan would feel very guilty that his diseased body, which was wet due to infected sores, was touched by the Lord. So he decided to end his life by throwing himself under Lord Jagannath's cart during the Rath Yatra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being omniscient Lord, rebuked Sanatana, who said, so Sanatana had said, I am low born. Indeed, I am the lowest. I am condemned. for I have all the characteristic of a sinful man. If you keep me alive, what will be the profit? He is asking Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what will be the profit to keep me alive? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, your body is my property. You have already surrendered unto me. Therefore, you no longer have any claim to your body. So similarly, when we surrender to our spiritual master, actually this body does not belong to us. It then belongs to the spiritual master. Isn't it? Why should you want to destroy another's property? Can't you consider what is right and wrong? Your body is my property, my principal instrument for executing many necessary functions. By your body, I shall carry out many tasks. You shall have to ascertain basic principle of a devotee, devotional service, love of Godhead, Vaishnava duties, Vaishnava characteristic. You will also have to explain Krishna's devotional service, establish center for cultivation of love of Krishna, excavate lost places of pilgrimage, and teach people how to adopt the renounced order. Mathura Vrindavan is my own very dear abode. I want to do many things there to preach Krishna consciousness. By the order of my mother, I am sitting here in Jagannath Puri. Therefore, I cannot go to Mathura Vrindavan to teach people how to live there according to religious principles. I have to do all this work through your body, but you want to give it up? How can I tolerate this? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling to Sanatana Goswami. At that time, Sanatana Goswami said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. No one can understand the deep ideas you plan within your heart. A wooden doll chants and dances according to the direction of the magician, but does not know how he is dancing and singing. My dear Lord, as you cause one to dance, he dances accordingly. But now he dances, and who is causing him to dance, he does not know. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said to Haridas Thakur, my dear Haridas, please hear me. This gentleman wants to destroy another's property. One who is interested with another's property does not distribute or use it for his own purpose. Therefore, tell him not to do such an unlawful thing. It is unlawful. It is not, according to religious principle. It is not lawful. Haridas Thakur replied, we are falsely proud of our capabilities. Actually, we cannot understand your deep intentions unless you inform us. We cannot understand what your purpose is or what you want to do through whom. My dear sir, since you are a great personality, since you, a great personality, have accepted Sanatana Goswami, he is greatly fortunate. No one can be as fortunate as he is. Prabhupada ki